If you want your food forest to thrive for years without constant watering, this might change the way that you garden forever. Most people overlook water design, but it's the quiet secret behind lush growth, natural pest control, and a thriving soil life. Today we're going to talk about 4 different water features that you can have in your garden, from the tiniest of bird baths to natural ponds, and what you can do to make your food forest or garden into a natural, thriving, and self-watering ecosystem. Water equals life in the food forest. Having water, a true water source, in your food forest, your orchard, your garden, can transform it overnight from being a dry, desolate place into a thriving and full ecosystem that'll bring dragonflies and frogs and birds into your space, and they'll feel at home. Water is the heartbeat of your soil. When it's missing, life slows down, and when it's present, everything wakes up. So in a food forest, and hopefully in your garden, we don't just plant plants, we build a relationship with the ground, with the land, with the ecosystems around us. And so putting something in as simple as like a water basin, it becomes a refuge for the beneficials in your area, and those beneficials will become your pest deterrent team. And wouldn't you want a pest control team working for you while you're sleeping, while you're on vacation, while you're away, and not have to put in chemicals in your garden? So what's your biggest water challenge? Drop it in a comment below, and I might focus it on one of the videos that I'm going to have coming up soon. So one of the easiest ways that you can add water to your ecosystem, which is going to include your food forest, your garden, your orchard, anything like that, where you're growing your plants, is to add bird baths. And it doesn't have to look like a bird bath. You don't have to go to Lowe's and buy a $200 cement bird bath. You can add water without spending a ton of money. I have seen people go to Goodwill or thrift stores and find basins, whether they're glass or they're steel or they could be porcelain, they could just be old bowls that you have laying around your house that you aren't using anymore. But the idea is having a shallow water area, and what we're going to do is we're going to put stones in the bottom of it. We're going to make sure that we're adding water to it often, and those stones are going to provide perches for things like bees and butterflies, ways for frogs to get out of the water, because sometimes we build something for them and they get stuck, right? And that's not helping anybody if we build a death trap, right? So make sure you have a way to get out of the basin for any beneficials that may be coming to partake in the water. I have built these, and I'm excited to start implementing them in my food forest. These are just cement leaves that my kids and I made by pouring cement over some elephant ears, letting it dry, and then sealing it after we take the leaf out. And so it creates this natural basin, and I'm going to put some rocks in there. Haven't done it yet, as you can see, and then fill it up with water. Now, having it close to the ground is key. Water basins for birds, those bird baths, are great, but they really are only accessible to the birds. So you want to have it down low. You want some up high if you can, but I would prioritize having them down low so that you can have things like your beneficial bugs, because insects need to drink too, right? Your frogs, your toads, your snakes. And we've talked a lot in this series about why you want snakes in your orchard, right? And butterflies and bees and things like that, they're going to benefit from this so much. Swales and runoffs are really important as well. If you can direct the water flow, as you see, we have lots of area where the water comes together from the mountainside and it pours down when it rains, comes here. And we don't want it just going straight down the mountain. It's curved around and it's come out this way into the yard area. And the whole idea here is we don't want the water to just disappear down the mountain and to divert it. We want it in our yard. We want it to be feeding the soil. So as it comes around here, it slows and this evens out. And there's a little bit of a low area over here. And this is going to allow the water, when it rains, to soak into the ground here, which is going to make everything a lot more abundant. Now, I built my food forest accidentally, and one of the things that I wish that I would have done is known that I was going to be making it, and then built swales before I planted anything. I'm going to walk out into the field real quick so that we can kind of get a full view of what the land looks like that my food forest is on. And so swales are basically what I kind of just showed you, digging into the ground and creating a trench where water can flow and then seep into the ground. So if you'll see, my food forest is on the side of a mountain. You can see the base of trees right here. This is where they're in the ground. And so it very steeply goes up right here. The whole thing is on a hill. And what I wish I would have done, if I could start right here, I would dig the swales and go parallel with the ground, have it come down a little bit and then go parallel on contour with the land, and then go down a little bit and then go on contour, parallel, plumb with gravity, and then all the way down and all the way down and all the way down. If I had done that, I would have collected all the rainwater coming down off that mountain, and it would have slowed it down so much that in permaculture we say we want our water flowing like a lazy river, right? And so it would slow it down where it would have time to soak into the ground, especially if the swales were mulched or there was plants on them. And so I could have things that are very water loving planted on the inside of the swale where the water would be collecting. I could have things that like drier soils on the outside of the swale where there would not be water collecting. And that would be how I would kind of manipulate what plants are in which areas. But the entire ground system there would be saturated consistently. And especially if I had it well mulched, it would definitely keep that moisture locked in. And that's what we want. Slow the water down, contain it, create little pockets where if there's a lot of rain, that pocket can fill up and you'll have maybe just like a seasonal pond there. And at the very bottom of it, or the base of it, you could even have a year-round pond if you're collecting the water in the proper way. So this is how you build a pond for your land. You can add value to your land as well by creating ponds. And that pond is going to create an ecosystem. And a lot of seasonal ponds are in nature as well. And that's where you hear the peepers at night with the crickets and the toads and the frogs and the salamanders. They go in there, they lay their eggs. They only need it for that spring season when the rains are really heavy, and that's when you'll have it in your food forest, and you'll create that ecosystem, get all those beneficial bugs, all those really good critters living and thriving. And if you can't do that, you can create your own mulch basin just by putting mulch around the base of your trees in kind of a wide manner. Keep it away from the base of the tree, right? You don't want to mulch right up to the base of your tree. But then create a rise out of it, almost like a donut, right? So your tree would be in the center of the donut. There'd be a flat area around it, and then around it there'd be a ring of mulch that comes up high enough, maybe 1 or 2 inches, so that when it rains, the water stays in there and it doesn't run down, because no matter what land you're on, it's always going to be on a slope or not. It's never fully flat, right? So no matter where you are, if you create that mulch kind of basin around your fruit tree or your shrubs, that's going to collect the water and slow it and keep it where it needs to go long enough for it to sink down into the ground and feed those plants. Another thing that we can use for our water systems is rain barrels, and rain barrels are fabulous. You can hook them up to your storm drains. You can hook them up to your gutter systems on your roofs. And you can also use them like I'm using mine and allow your duck pond to drain into it. So here is my lovely rain barrel, and we have some more that's connected to our house, but I think I wanted to give you more of a visual on this one. I have a hose back here, and that is connected to my duck pond up here. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Do you see the duck pond? You can definitely hear the ducks, I'm sure. Here's one of our ducks. Anyway, that fills up with water. The water, when it rains, fills in there and it goes down. That's in a low spot. And then right where these rocks are, there is a spigot. And so what I do is I connect my hose to that spigot. Well, it's just constantly connected. I don't ever take the hose off. But then I will open up the spigot when it's time, and I'll drain that water into my rain barrel here. And my rain barrel is at a higher level than the rest of my vegetable garden, whereas the duck pond is at a higher level than my rain barrel, and so it's all gravity fed. And I can use my hose, connect it to the bottom spigot here, and then I end up having duck pond water to feed to my vegetables, which is like liquid nitrogen. It's amazing. And so it is a fertilizer. It's a perfect fertilizer. Duck manure is a cold manure, and so you can put it directly on your plants, especially if it's been diluted in water. And so this is a fantastic system for watering your garden with nutrients for free. So I think we understand the system where you put the rain barrels under your gutters and you get water that way, and then you have a hose connected to it, or you can have overflow buckets connected to it and then hoses connected to those, and then you put the hose end around the tree that you want watered the most, or the shrub or whatever garden bed you want watered the most. And then when the overflow buckets fill up, that hose then connects to the base of that tree or whatever, and there's lots of water being sent directly to your target area that you want it to. With this, I can also take the hose, instead of putting it into the rain barrel here, since the duck pond is at the top of my food forest, I can then take that hose and put it at the base of any targeted area in my food forest that I want as well. And so I don't just have water for my vegetable garden with that, but I also have it for my food forest if I like. So that's a really easy way. I didn't have to have any pumps or any kind of electricity or anything like that out here in order to get this system to work for me, and it's wonderful. Now, when you have a roof that you're collecting water in, the rain barrel is going to, or a roof that you are collecting rainwater from, the sheer amount of water that you're going to get is going to fill up these rain barrels so fast. You could have multiple rain barrels and they'll probably all be filled. A normal house, my house is 1,200 square feet, right? And the roof is a little bit more than that because it's on a slant, right? So it's more than 1,200 feet. I don't know exactly the math of it, but it's more than that. And so you have let's say only a 1/4 inch of rain happens, but that's a 1/4 inch of rain over 1,200 square feet or more, right? All being diverted into those rain barrels. You will fill them so fast. And so having multiple is a really good idea. Having overflow buckets is a really good idea. Having hoses connected to it, placed in strategic areas where you want that water to go immediately, is a really good idea. And so having that is, you're going to get more water than you know what to do with if you do it that way. Another thing that I like to do with my rain barrels, and this is just me because I'm gathering water for my gardens. If you're doing it to drink the water, don't do this. But I like to gather my comfrey leaves from my plants. I've got a whole bunch of comfrey in my food forest in my gardens, and I'll gather up those leaves and I'll literally fill the bucket with those comfrey leaves before I put the water in. I'll stuff it full and then I fill it with that water, and then since this is black, and you can buy them black, you don't have to paint them, and I often find them on Marketplace for like 50 bucks. I mean, they're super cheap. So if you, especially for the value that you get, sorry, I'm gonna finish what I'm saying now. The heat of the sun heats up this barrel and it composts the comfrey leaves in the water really quickly, and they basically disintegrate. I don't have any plant matter in this water anymore basically after I get done filling this with the comfrey leaves in the water. It just disintegrates. And comfrey is known as being one of the best soil builder plants that we have. One of the points of growing it in a permaculture food forest is so that you can just snap off the leaves and lay them underneath your fruit trees or your shrubs or wherever you need the soil to be healthier. And it just feeds the soil like crazy. And so if you can get a comfrey tea made with your rain barrel, and that's the water, and highly concentrated, right? If you fill that barrel first and then put the water in it, and if you fill the water with the duck water into the comfrey leaves, you're just gonna make your garden explode in life. It's gonna be amazing. So anyway, so that is rain barrels and overflow buckets. If you want, I can link some rain barrels or some downspout diverters that will help make that easier for you. Specific hoses that I use that have the really wide openings because the duck manure needs to be able to get through without getting clogged, right? I'll link those below if you want. Natural ponds and then mini wetlands is another thing, is another water feature that you can have in your garden or near your orchard or in your orchard at all. What we have here with that rocky swale that we have that diverts the water into the yard here, there's a low point. It's natural. If you look out here, this is a natural low point, though there's kind of a rise here. So down here in this area, water will kind of sit and sink in. And if any area of our yard is going to become a wetlands during a really wet, rainy season, it's that area right there. And you'll notice this is where I have my marshmallow planted. And that's because marshmallow really loves to have a wetlands area. Now it's fall and it's gone to seed and it's pretty much dead on top at this point. But in the summer, it thrives right here, even though this is a really dry area. But this spot in particular is near where all the water gets diverted. And so the marshmallow stays very happy during the year here. So if you can get that water diverted with your swales, or if you have natural culverts or whatever on your property, or even if you have a spot that you can divert water straight, not into a water barrel, but right into like a basin area with your water spouts from your gutters from your house or a shed or anything that has a roof. And then you can kind of collect that water in that area and create either a seasonal pond or a year-round pond, depending on how much it rains where you are, and then the consistency of the soil underneath of it. Now, a lot of people in permaculture or even just gardeners or farmers back in the day, they would use pigs, and pigs really like to root around in the ground, and they're your natural tillers of the soil. They'll get down in there and they'll really just kind of destroy an area or make it better depending on if you wanted that area tilled or not. But their manure mixed with dirt creates kind of a waterproof paste. And so you can create your own pond if you get some pigs, or you can borrow pigs from a neighbor who has a farm or something like that. And you can start a little bit of a depression in the earth dig a little bit. If you have a tractor or an excavator or hand shovels, we're allowed to use hand shovels. We don't have to use power tools all the time, right? Digging a hole is so good for you. And so if you dig a hole and then kind of put a electric fence or section off that hole area and put pigs into it and feed them at the bottom of the hole, they will dig into the ground there, and they will make it deeper, and they will make it more of a basin-like situation, and their manure will gather with the mud that they will create there, and it will compact the soil, and it will create that waterproof barrier, and you can actually create your own pond. So with hardly any work of your own. I mean, you start the hole yourself and then the pigs finish it for you, right? So you then divert the water from your roof or your garage or your swales or your downspouts or whatever it is that you have, right? Your culverts. Use a hose. Anyways, you then divert the water into that area, and it should stay waterproof naturally that way, and then you get your own pond. And if it's not being fed naturally by rainwater, if you filled it with a hose, you're going to probably have to refill it because there is evaporation. But if you can find a way to get the water coming off of your roof to go into that and have that be like your secondary area after you filled up your water barrels, you will have continuous water going in there all year long, which is incredible. You'll have a pond. You'll have a pond. And I don't think I have to tell you how beneficial a pond is for an ecosystem. We've gone over that already. It's life-changing for your garden, for your food forest, for your orchard, for you. And if you don't want to do the pig thing, you can always just put a liner down, right? Dig a hole and put a liner down, and then divert the water there. And there you go, you've got a pond as well. And that might be less work than getting pigs, but if you've got the pigs, use them. If you've got a neighbor who has pigs like I do, use them. Anyway, there's some really great liners out there that make awesome ponds. And I can link those below too. And if you have a pond, something that you're going to want to do is have like a solar fountain in it, or a solar bubbler, or any kind of water catchment area that's going to be exposed to the air. Otherwise, it's going to become a breeding zone for mosquitoes. And that is the opposite of what we want, right? So you're going to want to create a little bit of aeration in that water surface so that the mosquitoes don't breed there. And so they have solar fountains, and I can link that below too, but just go anywhere on Amazon and you'll be able to find them. But if you want, I'll put my favorite ones down below, and then you can go off of that if you want. But if you're dreaming of a pond on your property or by your food forest or in your orchard like I am, let me know. Drop a little, put a lily pad in the comments below, and then I'll know that you guys are dreaming my same dream. In order to create the best place for a pond or a water catchment area, you're just going to want to observe your land. See where the low places are, see where the water stays or is slower to evaporate or sink into the land or run off, and that's where you're going to want to put your stuff. And if you want to do the rain barrel system where you're watering from that, you're going to want to have that a little bit higher so that you can use gravity as a way to feed your hoses to be able to water whatever it is that you want to water. So have that rain barrel higher than the place you're trying to water, and you won't need electricity. You can use all those plants to create like a little micro ecosystem there. So you'd use the elderberry for a tree for your guild there, right? And you would have that, and it would feed wildlife with birds. The flowers in the spring would feed the pollinators and the beneficials. The branches would create a habitat for birds to nest in. The mint would become a ground cover. The irises would create beauty and flowers for pollinators. The comfrey would also be a really great pollinator magnet. Willows would stabilize the soil and create kind of a hideaway area for animals to get away from predators. And putting all those together, oh my goodness, got my baby on me. All those together would create an excellent ecosystem if you want to get that area living and not just wet. Okay, so the key here is keep it natural. No chemicals, no chemicals, don't do that. Make sure that you are watering the really shallow basins once a week so that they have plenty of water in it to create a place of haven for these animals that need them. She wants to have her own channel, I think. She's going to tell you all about it. But also make sure that there's a stick in it, sticking in it and out of it, so that all the critters can get in and out easily. Make sure that you have a bubbler in it or a fountain so that there's movement and aeration in it so that mosquitoes don't turn this into their personal haven. If you guys would like a mini pond tutorial step-by-step, let me know in the comments, and it would be the best excuse to get my husband to help me with building one on our own property here so that I can have my dream as well. So leave that in the comments below, and I'll have to be like, Jeremy, they really want a video on this, and maybe he'll help me do that. Add even one of these water features and you'll see your garden transform and your food forest explode with wildlife and abundance. So remember, we're creating the ecosystem, not just planting plants. Members, don't forget you have that download available to you with all this information and more in it in the community section of my page, and it'll have a download link. It's just for you guys. If you guys are seeing this for the first time, you're not members yet, go ahead and look below. I have a free download for you that has all of this in it as well. It's not as extensive as the member one, so if you want to become a member, do that, and that will support our channel and our homestead as well, all our goals that we have here. And as always, guys, stay blessed.